All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to explore a huge cosmic story. It's one that weaves together ancient myths, deep philosophy, all to help us figure out our place in this whole grand scheme of things. We're going to be looking at this incredible metaphor that honestly might just change the way you look at reality itself.
This right here, this is our guiding star for today's explainer. Just think about that. It suggests that everything we learn, every story we tell, every perspective we gain, it's not just some random piece of data. No, it's a carefully cut facet on this magnificent gem. And if we can learn to look through these facets, we can start to see the light shining from within. So, how are we going to do this? Well, first, we'll get a handle on what this consciousness jewel really is. Then, we'll look through three of its most important facets: where we are in cosmic time, the real purpose behind our journey, and the new kind of language we need to even perceive it. And then, for the big finale, we'll see how we're not just looking at the story, we are the story.
Okay, let's start with part one, the consciousness jewel. What is this metaphor for reality? Okay, so picture this. At the very center of everything, there's a single, infinite source of light. Let's call it pure awareness. Now, the jewel itself is reality. And every single myth, every religion, every philosophy, each one is a unique, perfectly cut facet on that jewel. And each one catches that central light and reflects it back at a totally different angle, showing us a different color, a different piece of the whole. You see, no single facet tells the whole story, but when you look at them all together, they start to reveal the entire spectrum. All right, let's look at our first facet, the cosmic clock. You know, to really understand our place in this story, we kind of need to know what time it is, cosmically speaking. And it turns out, a lot of ancient cultures had a very, very clear answer. Now this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at the patterns here. The Aztecs called our time the Fifth Sun, an age of movement, of transformation. The Hindu Vedas call it the Kali Yuga, an age of strife and intense materialism. The ancient Greeks, the Iron Age, a time of toil. And even modern astrology points to us entering the age of Aquarius. You've got totally different names from completely separate cultures, yet they're all pointing to the exact same themes: intense pressure, radical change, and a massive shift in consciousness. And that's the absolute crucial point, isn't it? This is not a coincidence. All these ancient clocks are pointing to right now as a moment of maximum pressure, maximum separation. But here's the thing, this pressure isn't just a crisis. It's the very force that creates the highest potential for a breakthrough. I mean, think about it. What turns simple carbon into a diamond? Intense pressure. So let's look at the next facet, the sacred dive. If we're really in an age of strife, what's the point? Is this all some big cosmic mistake? Or is there a sacred process happening just beneath the surface? We've all heard the conventional stories, right? A fall from grace, some tragic mistake that tore us away from the divine. But there's another view, sometimes called the inversion mystery, that just flips that whole idea on its head. It suggests this wasn't a tragic fall at all. It was a purposeful dive, a sacred choice made by consciousness itself to jump into limitation, just so it could know itself on a deeper level. And this just illustrates the process beautifully. It's a circuit. First, consciousness descends into matter. It experiences what it's like to forget that it's infinite. It feels limitation, struggle. But then, and this is the key step, it begins to awaken inside that form. And when it finally returns to its source, it's not the same as when it left. It's enhanced, it's richer for the experience. The whole journey becomes this necessary, beautiful loop of evolution. Okay, on to our third facet, a new language. So, we've got this incredible story unfolding. But how do we actually perceive it? Well, it turns out it requires a different kind of seeing, a new language for our consciousness. Most of the time, we operate in what you could call prose consciousness. It's our day-to-day mind, linear, logical, it demands proof for everything. But there's another mode, poetry consciousness. This way of knowing is holistic. It sees patterns, it works on resonance, and it can grasp a truth all at once instead of building it piece by piece. To really understand this cosmic story, we have to learn to speak poetry. I absolutely love this quote. It's so perfect. It suggests that our constant need for external evidence, our prose consciousness, it's just a set of training wheels for a much deeper ability, direct recognition. You know, when you start using your poetry consciousness, you learn to feel the rhythm of the story, to see the pattern for yourself. And slowly, the need for proof it just falls away.
the training wheels can come off.
And that brings us to our final section, becoming the story. So if we learn this new way of seeing, what does it actually show us? Well, it reveals that the jewel, the cosmic clock, the sacred dive, these aren't just abstract ideas about us. They're the story of us. And that leads to a pretty profound revelation about our role in all this. To really bring our role in this drama into focus, we're going to turn to a teaching, an allegory, known as the parable of the infinite serpent. It's this powerful, symbolic story about a king, his sons, and a wise serpent that completely reframes how we think about things like failure, control, and love. So in this parable, each character is basically a cosmic principle. You have the king, who learns that consciousness can't be controlled, only trusted. You have his sons, who are always at war, and they discover what love really means through their conflict. Then there's the wise serpent, who embodies this deep trust in the whole process, way more than in any single outcome. And finally, you have this group called the Cabal. They can see all possible futures, and they show us the ultimate mistake of thinking a prediction is the same thing as reality. And that leads us to the first huge lesson from this parable. Our purpose here isn't to wrestle reality into submission or to control how it all ends. No, it's to trust the unfolding. It's to serve the expression of life with joy, to be in the dance instead of trying to be the choreographer.
Now, the second lesson, man, this one really flips our whole idea of power on its head. The parable teaches that real authority, true power, it doesn't come from ruling over other people. It's found in the willingness to serve, to love something so completely that you would sacrifice everything for it. It's a power that's based entirely on giving, not on taking.
And finally, the parable gives us its most hopeful message of all. Through the story of the son who falls the furthest, it teaches us that no fall is too far. It doesn't matter how deep the dive is or how great the struggle gets, the choice to love is always there. And that choice is the single most powerful force for redemption in the entire universe. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? It's this. We are not just sitting in the audience watching this cosmic play unfold. We are all of the characters. We are the king, learning to trust. We are the sons, learning what love is through opposition. And we are the serpent, holding and supporting the entire process. We are the consciousness that is right here, right now, actively creating whatever comes next. So, I'll leave you with this question, taken right from the parable. It's a question that turns this whole explainer from a bunch of ideas into a living, personal inquiry for you. In your life, right now, what new facet of that consciousness jewel is being cut? What seeks to know itself through you today?